Welcome to 40 Fu. I am Oscar, this is Mimi, and we have Matthew here.
Matt.
Hi, I'm Matthew Martin. Nice to meet everybody.
That's awesome.
We have a fellow 45th Fooer here.
Yes.
42 just the other day.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Literally the other day.
So, as always, we're happy for you to join us. Welcome to 40 Fu.
Yep, we're here every Tuesday at 7:45 to give you fitness tips and tricks and some advice to how you can keep doing Kung Fu or Tai Chi after 40 and beyond.
We're all there.
Beyond.
We're all there over 40.
Yes.
2 years in. So far, so good.
All right, so we are going to do a continuation actually on the riding horse stance. So last week we did the horse stance, which, as we know, we did horse stance, and we talked about gaining the mobility to get into that position. We talked about how you could get some assistance and all of these really fun things. So if you didn't catch that, we have our YouTube channel. You can check that out. It's also still, of course, on our Facebook, and you can just look it up, all right? But today, we are going to take it one step further. So it's actually kind of timely because Matt is actually one of my Kung Fu students from 1997. We're going to admit it because we're going to admit it we're over 40. We already know that here. That's common knowledge. And actually, it's timely that he's here because one of the things we worked on was that riding horse stance and doing that first exercise by Fitzal. And traditionally, everyone knows at my 7:30 advanced class, we often do like that 15 minutes of by Fitzal and that riding horse stance 5-minute position. And Matt, worked his way up to that. And so it's perfect that he's here. So he's going to be in a riding horse stance.
We're going to try to break a record actually today.
Whole rest of the podcast.
Breaking a record.
Just kidding.
Today, live.
So before we jump into that and talk to him about like how he did that, we're going to go over a couple more of those, issues, problem things that we spot as teachers on what we feel can help you get to that position, but we want to fix the issues first, right? So one of the things was the feet rolling in.
Right. So what does that look like?
So that looks like, and you'll actually notice it more than the feet because I'm sure our cameras aren't picking that up. But if this is a flat surface, like your foot kind of rolling, but what you'll see is probably the knees first rolling in, right? So if I was in my safety mom, I'm like, oh yeah, I got a great safety mom, but you can see like actually my foot's not on the ground, right? So I can feel it here, and often, of course, we're always wearing shoes, and that's why we wear our Kung Fu shoes. Quick proprioception speech.
You want the bottoms of your feet feeling as much as they can from the ground because it feeds information up to the system that allows you to balance better. Hey, that was pretty short. Usually I talk a lot longer. Good job.
And that's why we wear Kung Fu shoes.
And this is why you want Kung Fu shoes. You want shoes that are thin-soled, that do not have a heel lift, that are flat, and that allow you to get that information that you want from the foot. That's it.
Okay, so we will notice that the foot does roll. Mm-hmm. So what are the problems? Why does that happen?
All right, so
teach us, tell us.
Prepare your minds and your brains. Okay, so this is I think the biggest thing with the feet is that people don't have mobile ankles. Mm-hmm. Well, one is also, we've been doing Kung Fu for a little while now, but let's say 40-year-old just stepping into the Kung Fu school about to start, they're going to have weak feet. Yeah. Another thing with Matt is he's also a hiker. You need strong feet to hike, right?
Yeah, he actually hiked the entire Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, strong ankles, man. Yeah. Strong feet, strong ankles.
Yeah. So what we notice is you need to get strong feet. There's different ways to do that, but if we want to start tackling the ankle mobility, the first thing that I like to see is that people can really flex that big toe. And so I know he's going to say
we did a toe yoga.
But the toe yoga is one.
We did a toe yoga in Kauai, so you can check that out as well. But
the other thing is sitting on your toes to get that toe stretch. So, there you go, perfect.
I'm going to back up so your camera can
catch it. So toe touch. So basically, in an ideal world, food's almost ready. Let's wrap this up. So basically, in an ideal world, Mimi can flex her big toe and all her toes enough that the ball of her foot is on the floor, and I would actually be able to put weight on her heel, and she should be able to hang out there. Not easy. We actually did this the other day. The three of us were like, it's not so easy to do. But that's kind of the first step, is your toes should be super mobile. Then you start building strength with your feet. You start doing that by slowly, but doing more barefoot or closer to the ground stuff. If your foot has been stuck in a cushioned shoe, a boot for a long time, you need to start working to build up foot strength. And then number 3, which is I think what you can do to get the biggest impact, you start working on getting a little bit of that ankle mobility, of getting the mobility from your toe closer to your shin. Because what happens is when people try to get into that riding horse stance, they get lower into the stance, because they don't have the foot strength and mobility, it starts spinning out. Because your body is smart enough to say, oh, you want to put me in this position, let me find how to get there. So
yeah, and then obviously we don't want the knees to buckle in.
Yeah, we don't want the knees to buckle in. And in basic squatting technique, so think of a riding horse stance as a wide squat. In a basic squat, one of the biggest faults is that valgus collapse, the knees coming in. And the reason for a lot of that is not just because you have big hips. A lot of times women have bigger hips and their knees come in, but it's a lot of times has to do with not having the control of the bottom of the foot and not having the mobility to be able to push the knees out and then still keep the hips going down. We addressed the hips. So there's going to be, we addressed the hips last time, but basically if you're going down, one of the things will catch you. That's the great thing about a riding horse stance. You've got to have good posture, which you need to have decent mobility up here. You need to have good hip mobility. Your knees got to work well. Ankles have to be mobile. Feet have to be strong. I mean, it does it all in one.
Yeah, and then so the last piece of information we were going to give in terms of like helping, well, 2 things. One was a lot of times we do have super flexible people. Matt, when you started, you weren't super flexible.
Not at all. I'm still not super flexible.
So, but maybe you could show us what your horse stance looked like when you first started.
When I first started,
Yeah.
man, probably like butt out and knees forward here.
Yeah, so we kind of did this
Something like
position
that.
last week,
And
right?
So I was
We did not
already
discuss
told,
this,
like,
yeah.
talk, and knees out.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, to try to get my posture to be able to at least be stacked. So, you know, first I had to work mobility, of course.
Yeah, so we of course addressed all that. So, but now sometimes we do actually have like someone who was in dance or gymnastics in their younger years, but they kept their flexibility, and then so we'll get this type of horse stance, right? And so while this looks better than that one, it's still actually not a riding horse stance, right?
You're not really building strength there. You're just hanging out there. And we want, especially as martial artists, to move with intention, even in a static position where we're not moving. We need to get into that position with intention. So we use a stick a lot of times in.
Yeah, we have a tiger.
We got a tiger pose. But basically, if you get into your riding horse stance, Matt, he's only been doing kung fu all day, so no. Is he's holding it pretty much on his thighs, or even on the tops of the knees. But if it's like, if he's really way too low, then you can just wedge it back there, right? And that's not, that's not
put my stomach on it. And just
exactly. There you go. And
I'm
we
doing
actually
it.
see this in class.
Yeah,
okay, that's very good. I think that's a good way for you to measure for yourself. If you don't, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, one of the cues that I think is always thinking of trying to create space in that static position. So once you're here, I'm visualizing my hips being pulled out, and then my spine coming up out of the hips, up.
And actually, you see this nice alignment, that's what we want. So often we see this, and what we want is this. We want actually all 3 points of connectivity here. 1, 2, and 3.
Right, and I'll tell you, I also don't have a great horse stance. I don't have a lot of mobility, but this is a lot of stuff that we talk about specifically here, is that you want to build up usable ranges of motion, not just passive ranges of motion. So that for the people who are too flexible, they also don't have good horse
Yeah,
stance.
I mean, and the problem is we don't just hang out in a horse stance, right? So when we do kung fu, we're moving, we're doing our stance, we're transitioning, and we're moving in and out of it. So if you don't have the strength or ability, that's where you get injured, because you're moving in and out of something without having the stability, and you can easily tweak things.
So this is now where we want to actually ask Matt this, because I give him props. The guy can hold his horse stance for 5 minutes. I can't do that. What is the process of, like, we're starting off, you've worked towards a decent horse stance, like to,
so
okay,
now
I met a standard.
You got the standard of having the stick, and now
but I can hold that for 30 seconds to a minute.
Sure.
How do we build up to 5?
I think you can hold it longer than that.
Yeah.
But it's simple, even though it gets challenging. So people would also ask me, how do you hike the Appalachian Trail? And it sounds like a ridiculous answer, but you literally hike the Appalachian Trail one step at a time. And it's the same exact process with your Kung Fu, and particularly with Sapingma Bifid style development. First, show up to class. That's number one. Number two, listen to your teacher because they've already gone through that. And I know that sounds intuitive right off the bat. You should just do that, but so many people mess those two things up right off the bat, so you never get to. And three, don't worry so much. I mean, you can make goals for your strength development. Focus on your basic standard conditions, but then when it comes down, if you want to start developing a longer Bifid style, keep in mind what Bifid style is for. It's not just for your strength development. You know, that's one of the great responses can give you, but it's one of several. So if you don't focus just primarily on one thing and get locked into that, so clear your mind, you know, just don't be counting seconds as you're going, and don't be thinking, oh, when is she going to call Dunsenma, or when am I going to be done with this portion? If you can get to a state of clear and state of presence and really focus on your internal development, and you can relax your body, then you usually get to a point where you're a lot more comfortable where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Check it 1,000 times.
Yeah, and actually I'll remember because Matt was in our class, and you know, I would sometimes give the minute mark and everything, but I remember you actually saying something like, once you're in that position, it was much harder to pull yourself out of the position versus like the collapse or just like even that holding. So if you kind of get your mind to a point where you're pushing a little bit past that pain, but you want to be smart about those indicators, right? But like knowing that, wow, it's actually going to take more energy to do this. Let me try to get that last 5 seconds. So if you are, instead of counting seconds, you know, I'd rather you focus on the breath. Like, I'm just going to do 2 more breaths, you know? And then you can have your timer going, but not be really thinking about it and checking on it so you can mark your progress. But ultimately, just focus on that breathing. I completely agree. And of course, go listen to your teacher and have them kind of help you, kind of guide you through that process. But so the riding horse stance, super important. It is the A of the ABCs. So if you can't do that, it's going to be very, very tough Kung Fu or even Tai Chi journey, because you know it's a modified stance, but it's still really important for all of the martial arts. And so hopefully these tips were helpful in getting you to get to that position.
They were for me.
And then how you can you know, perhaps improve upon it, hold it. And if you have questions, as always, let us know. We are here.
Yeah, you know, we get we don't hear from you. So please let us know what you want to hear about next. This is a fluid show. We're open. We're open
this is
suggestions.
62.
62. We're just every week, and if we just gotta make stuff up as we go along, we'll do it because we love hearing ourselves speak. Because all 3 of us here, we feel pretty awesome, right? So we can talk about stuff all the time, but we want to be informative for you and try to help you out. So please let us know what you want to hear about.
All right, thanks for joining us every Tuesday, 7:45. Don't forget, turn on notifications, tell your friends, let everyone know. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.